In this edition of Fifth Gear, biking off-road. The hottest hot rods in town. And VW's new Uber saloon, the Phaeton.
A few months ago, the motoring press flew over to Italy and went crazy over this. The Sunstroke journos even called it a mini Ferrari 456.
But we're not in Italy. We're at Whitley Hall in Worcestershire. And this isn't the latest offering from Pininfarina, it's the all-new Hyundai Coupe. So now we're back in this country. Does this car live up to that idyllic image? Well, in this Ferrari red, it looks a whole heap more than its miserly 14.5 grand starting price. And even under these English skies, the 456 comparisons are there for all to see. Interestingly, though, Hyundai didn't go cap in hand to some Italian design house for this. The Coupe is an entirely Asian production.
But coupe buyers like their badges, and this one isn't exactly packed with prestige. So this Hyundai is going to need more than skin-deep talents to impress the likes of me.
To be honest, there's nothing to give away its humble origins, even on the inside. And just look at that dashboard. It's so much more grown up and sophisticated than the last coupe's effort. And, well, it's a lot more solid as well. But I think Audi might have something to say about those dials.
All versions get aircon and CD as standard, but the range-topping 2.7-litre V6 also gets leather and cruise control. Not bad for 18.5 grand.
Right, we've got all the gubbins in a pretty coupe with a V6 stuffed under the bonnet. But we haven't moved anywhere yet. This should be a laugh. Somewhere along the line I was expecting. No, I was hoping to find out where the corners had been cut. But to be honest, I'm getting a bit wound up. The throttle response is snappy and the gearbox feels solid and up for a bit of abuse. But it's the steering that really grabs you. So many cars get it wrong. They're light when you need them to be heavy, but this one is absolutely spot on. It's weighty all the time, which won't suit everyone, but it does make it feel like a proper sports car.
I wanted this 2.7 to be a bit quicker, but I'm getting to like it now. So let's say that 8 seconds to 60 and 136 miles an hour are adequate. For slower drivers, there's a choice between a 1.6 and a 2-litre.
The ride and handling, though, are more than adequate. All right, it's got a slightly firm ride, but every sports car should have a firm ride. The suspension's been designed for a bit of fun, hasn't it? And there's just something about this car that makes me want to drive it harder and faster every single time I get in it. I was expecting this car to be a lightweight piece of rubbish, but it's actually pretty good. So there we have it, away from the glitz and the glamour of the Italian launch and out of the clutches of the PR mafia, the Hyundai Coupe still proves to be exactly what it first appeared. Brilliant!
See that hill? There's no way you could drive up it. You wouldn't even walk up it, but you could ride up it. Yes, you. Well, with a bit of tuition from the BMW Offroad Skills course, where in just 2 days, complete novices like these, and me, are turned into lean, mean riding machines like these. Well, that's the plan. £350 buys you a bike for the weekend, instruction, insurance, and a bite to eat. The course is run throughout the summer. It's all inspired by the grueling Paris-Dakar event, and our instructor, Simon Pavey, is a Dakar veteran. He can teach anybody anything, although things don't bode too well when the first thing he teaches is how to pick the bike up.
Wow, that's it. As long as you do it the right way, I don't mind helping.
No, I want to do it myself.
Go on then, one big effort.
The art of hauling up an awkward 200 kilos is not to hoist from the wheel side, but to use the handlebars. I'm spent.
Now we'll tell you when you're spent.
Down to the business of riding, and once we'd got the hang of standing for better balance and control, Simon showed us the limits of the brakes. Locking the rear goes against everything you're taught for the road. But get used to the sensation here and you don't get spooked when it happens on a sheer mountain face, which is a good thing, and I loved it.
Excellent, excellent. You got 2 fingers on the clutch.
I did have. Oh no! Next was learning to ride with a skidding front wheel. Again, something that's definitely not taught on the road. But once you've experienced it, it shouldn't cause panic stations later on. I found this bit really difficult and it's a horrid feeling. Others felt the same, especially when things didn't go quite according to plan. Bruises come for free on this course.
I don't mind the rear end sliding around, that's absolutely fine. When you start locking the front brakes and you have really not much steering at all, and that is really worrying. I'm not liking this bit. Oh.
The only things that get more bashed than the riders are the bikes. BMW F650s, £5,000, 50 horsepower and 100 miles an hour. They're pretty ordinary on-road, but tough as old boots off it. What makes this course so special is that you're being taught by people who have been there and done it. It's like going on a track day for cars and being taught by Juan Pablo Montoya or a rally school by Alistair McRae. Chief instructor Simon Pavies competed in every major off-road rally and has a reputation for being as hard as he is nuts. Good boy.
Simon, you've done the Paris-Dakar a couple of times. Tell us about it. Is it completely mad?
It is just the most incredibly hard race, yeah. Especially, well, it's mentally as much as anything, more than physically, because it's 18 days and 6,500 miles. But the first year I did it, I was about 8 days into the rally and I had a pretty big crash, sort of 60 mile an hour, cartwheeled, end-friended, knocked myself stupid, didn't know where I was, didn't know which way to go, cracked all down the back of my helmet. And it's, you know, 40 degrees, 45 degrees, and obviously that's when you get really stressed out as well, and then you make more mistakes, and it is just the most incredible race.
Now, what skills are you teaching that would help on a Paris-Dakar if I was foolish enough to decide to go and do it?
All the skills that we teach on the off-road course is exactly the same skills that you need to ride on the Dakar. They are throttle control, clutch control, finesse on the brakes, good balance, tying those all together.
Day 2 of the course is spent hitting the trail and putting your skills into practice. It's a lot easier following Simon around Wales than it would be navigating the Dakar's deserts. There, riders have no co-drivers, have to deal with the shortage of spare parts and even put up with local bandits. Then there are the inevitable injuries. Countless people finish the event with broken wrists and ankles. This course is great, but it only gives you the tiniest flavour of the Dakar, which is probably just as well.
0 to 60?
5.2.
4.8.
Gears.
5.
6.
Top speed?
148.
157.
This debate has been going on for years. The Subaru Impreza WRX STI and the Mitsubishi Evo 7 are ugly, gimmicky and drive frenetically. But to die-hard enthusiasts, they're the ultimate in street car cred. And now that they're available from UK dealers, it's time to put them head-to-head. Both use turbocharged 2-litre engines. Both pump out around 300 horsepower. Both are four-wheel drive.
And both will take you to 60 in around 5 seconds and go on to over 140 miles an hour. What we have here is the top of each range, the FQ300 Evo 7 for £31,495 and the ProDrive style Impreza for £27,495. Which is best? Place your bets now. Behind the wheel of the Impreza you soon realised that these cars are as extreme to drive as they are to look at. I can feel every bump and ripple in the road reverberating up through my spine, and the noise from the tyres sounds like it's been amplified through the CD player. Then there's the power delivery. Under 4,000 revs and it feels like you're driving a shopping car. But as the needle rises, it suddenly grows horns and turns into a supercar. Mind you, to keep the power there, you need to make frequent changes of a 6-speed gearbox that demands 100% concentration.
Jump from the Subaru to the Mitsubishi and you find a world of surprising contrasts.
Let's face it, first impressions are important. I'm certainly not so happy behind the wheel of this Evo 7. I'm sitting too high and these red dials are a real turn-off. There's really nothing to show me that I'm in anything special.
And it's only got those 5 gears, but they do change very smoothly with an engine that's got a much wider power band. The ride, however, is even more intense than the Impreza's. You won't relax in an Evo unless you park it. Both were born and bred on the world's rally stages, and in the hands of true enthusiasts, a similar experience is only a track day away, where they quite literally transform themselves.
Now, the suddenness of that power delivery doesn't really matter because you've always got it above 4,000 revs. And this 6-speed gearbox that seemed a bit awkward when you were dawdling along the roads feels just right, it's perfect. And the car has totally come alive. It doesn't feel too stiff on this smooth racing track. And whilst the handling does tend to understeer a bit wide in the front as you go into the corners, a little lift of the throttle soon gets the tail stepping out. Now, Subaru quote this car as having just over 260 horsepower, but if that turbocharged air gets too hot, that power drops off, which is why you've got that great intercooler under the bonnet. And when the pressure's on, there's a little button you can press, which will spray the intercooler with water and help reduce that air intake temperature. And you'd certainly be under pressure if you had this Evo 7 in your rear view mirror, because this FQ300 has 305 horsepower. And although they won't tell us what the FQ stands for, it's certainly effing quick. The brakes seem to have got a bit more fade than the Subarus, especially after 3 laps of hard work. But there's no doubt, if it's excitement you want, then the Evo is the car for you. It too has a button to press to spray the intercooler, but now there's an automatic mode which will chime in when the temperature goes above 60 degrees, so it'll leave you to sort out what the car's doing. But the end result still seems to be pretty wild to me.
But the Evo also has an electronically controlled active centre differential and its active yaw control to come to your aid. And all this adds up to a lap time some 2 seconds faster than the Impreza's.
So it's the Evo that's the quickest and most focused track car. But it's the Impreza that's the best all-rounder. It's got the more extreme looks, it's easy to live with from day to day, and with the £4,000 I'd save, I could pay for a couple of track days, plus the new brakes and tyres I'd need after them.
You thought they were extinct, but they still exist, the product of weird genius, hidden from the outside world.
Hot rods? Are they still going? What's the point? Ah, that's the point.
Rodding is a culture away from the rest of car world and is very much alive and well. It's all about the quest for creating something unique, be it brighter, faster, lower or louder. The Spring Nationals sees hundreds of hot rods meeting in a big field, creating the coolest campsite you've ever seen.
Now this is what I think of when I think of a hot rod. It's technically called a street rod. You're looking for separate fenders, a flat windscreen, anything that's pre-1949, and this one's worth about £9,000.
But my favourite bit is the fact that the tyres almost meet in the middle. The sit-up and beg style is very popular, but there was one in particular that kind of stood out.
So, your Metal Flake Mick. Now, did you actually know it wasn't 1974 anymore? I mean, that's brilliant, but it's completely bonkers.
Yeah, I paid a fortune to have some flames put on my last car and thought, well, I'm not going down that road again. And I just got myself a Chinograph pencil and just started drawing and thought, I can do this. And then just added the mirror flake in with the lacquer, cans of lager and late nights, and that's what happens, like.
Even more striking is what's under this car bra, a 1934 Ford three-window coupe, which is, to say the least, very red.
So, your name's Frank and you're a fireman.
Yes.
And they call you Fireman Frank, and you've been borrowing some of the firm's paint, have you?
It looks like it.
So, what's this one? How much is this worth?
It's insured for 30,000. It actually cost about 35,000 to build.
Ouch, and what's it won?
It's won everything, every show in England. It's national champion 2 years running, and it's won best in Britain 2 years running.
Move into cars from the 50s and 60s and you get to this. Now, this is a custom with a K. Here, looks are everything. It's got to be the lower the better. And if your lines aren't as smooth as a baby's bottom, then you might as well forget it.
Hi.
This 1963 Ford Consul Capri has apparently been fully nosed, decked, de-seamed and shaved, and is owned by Mr. Custom, Kevin Rooney.
So how come all the fancy paint then?
That's recreating a period of 1960s in America when they were experimenting with paint finishes, lacquers, candies, metal flakes, as the roof is. It's died out on the custom side, but the lowriders have kept it alive.
Cue the lowrider then, a 1985 Pontiac Grand Prix.
OK, Kevin, so we've decided why we've got a padded roof lining, but what is this all about? How does this work?
Well, it's a boot full of hydraulics, similar sort of stuff as what you find on tail lifts on lorries and that, and all that's plumbed into the suspension, which enables us to dance.
And look at this paintwork. How long did it take you to mask out all of that?
The patterns took 7 full days. The paint job took me every day for 7 weeks. And there's 30 gallons of lacquer on this car.
30 gallons of lacquer?
I can't tell you how many times I rubbed it down.
So, Kev, can I have a go then?
No.
Can I have a go at that then?
Definitely no.
What happens if I press that one?
You die.
OK, all right. If you just want to go really, really fast, then you want one of these. It's a street machine. Big wheels, small block, big cubes, and hey presto, a drag racer on your driveway.
The best example is this money-no-object 300 horsepower Ford Roadster. The beauty isn't just skin deep, because it's even cleaner underneath. Boy, these things are really starting to get to me.
I want to be an engine.
Although they have got to some people even more.
You're wobbly and you're called Bob.
Yes.
So you're Wobbly Bob.
Yes.
What are we standing next to?
My Bedford.
Your Bedford?
Yes.
A Bedford CF van?
It is a Bedford CF van.
But Wobbly Bob, why?
It's an evolution thing. I've owned it for many years.
Yeah. How long?
25.
25 years with the same Bedford van?
The reason he's not bored of it is probably down to the supercharged Rover V8 slap bang in the middle. And Bob keeps a set of slicks on board just in case. His best quarter-mile time is a Ferrari frightening 13 seconds. The commercial vehicles you really ought to get into, though, are pickups. Their value has doubled over the last 3 years, particularly rare stepsiders like these. And check this out for £3,000's worth of bonnet. Finally, we get Euro-style rods that go for a circuit racer look. This work of art engine bay belongs to, believe it or not, a Ford P100. Hot rods aren't about buying off-the-shelf bits and bolting them on. They're about talented owners demonstrating engineering excellence and are shown to a standard that puts most classic concours winners to shame.
I've had a wicked day playing with hot rods, and I've finally found somebody who'll let me have a go. How cool is this? That's brilliant. I'm going to get one.
Last week, I boarded an early morning flight to Dresden, courtesy of Volkswagen, for the launch of their brand new range of Phaeton executive saloons. When it goes on sale at £70,000, the top model will double the most you can pay for a VW. And it will go head-to-head with the standard-setting Mercedes S-Class and new high-tech BMW 7 Series. So, do the Phaeton's looks offer the same kind of presence?
It looks very smooth and classy. But at least it's got quite an aggressive stance with the flared wheel arches stand out straight away. It's got an American nose, European sides, and almost like an Alfa Romeo rear end. I don't know where I thought of that, but it looks like that. It lifts up at the back. Now that is bizarre. There's no room. I mean, that can't be right for the entire range. There's not that much legroom in the back, though.
And no, of course, this rear divider isn't standard. It's an option to help create 4 separate zones for the air conditioning, or so the VW PR girl kindly explained before helping me out with the more important details like...
Is it keyless, though? Do I have to put a key in?
How to start it.
It's not keyless, then. You have to...
And how to work the cup holders.
Exactly.
Oh, and don't worry, there is a keyless option should you want it.
There's a keyhole also. I'll be back in 5 seconds.
But nobody could make the boot open properly.
It's supposed to sort of rise up on its own. There's huge embarrassment now. People are going to get sacked. What the lad was just demonstrating to me is that when it goes up, this catch disappears in, so you can't hit your head on it. But while it's not working, we can just admire these beautiful aluminium struts, which are very nice, even if the mechanism has stopped working. Works of art.
Volkswagen were quick to sort out this minor problem, and I was soon on my way. I'd managed to blag one of the top-of-the-range models with its 6-litre, 420-horsepower W12 engine and 4-wheel drive. But there will be more frugal versions, including a front-wheel drive V6 and a couple of diesels, with prices starting from around £42,000.
Overall, I mean, the first thing you feel is that you're very relaxed driving it. I've very quickly settled into my Phaeton, which is not that excited about anything yet.
But then you had to be impressed by their new transparent factory, where masses of glass allow customers to view the entire assembly process. They can visit sales staff in this plush panoramic lounge. Sample exactly how their car will look by moving bits about on a magic table. And even watch it being put together on the elegant production line. But me, I couldn't wait to head for the Autobahns. Here there are stretches where you can cruise along cosseted in the Phaeton's double-glazed cabin at 130 miles an hour and not be branded as some sort of irresponsible delinquent. It's perfectly safe because de-restricted sections are generally quiet and the Germans understand the meaning of lane discipline. Mind you, you do need to be aware that the Phaeton weighs a massive 2.5 tons, a whole lot more than the BMW and Merc.
After a day with the car, there are a few niggles that begin to annoy you. My knee keeps on rubbing against this rather hard centre console. Worst of all, though, every time I put the car into drive, the lever goes straight back to sport mode. So I've got to push it forward one into drive. I don't know why, but it always happens to me. And also, when you think how much I like all these dials, why do they spoil it with all this money with a clock that's got a curved surface so the light reflects off it all the time? That annoys me.
OK, these are just little niggles with a hugely accomplished car that does Volkswagen proud. But the problem is, whilst equal to the Mercedes and BMW in most areas, it doesn't really beat them in any, so I just can't see their loyal customers defecting to the VW brand. There is method behind the Phaeton though, because next year's new Audi A8 will share its foundations, and so, to a lesser extent, will the new baby Bentley. Plus, there are all those young executives bred on a diet of Golf GTIs who might just fancy buying the same badge as they head for the top.